I think the Malaysian economy has progressed well. We have actually exceeded consensus estimates. Even for the previous month, if you look at the industrial production index at 3.2%, it's higher than the estimate compiled by Bloomberg of around 2.3%. Inflation rate, we have managed to reduce inflation rate for the first time in nearly 10 years by 0.7%. And at the same time, the growth rate has again exceeded expectations of 4.7% for 2018. And the latest figures, which was revealed by MITI, the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, is our approved investments. Now, we had an increase over the previous year, 2018 compared to 2017, a small increase, but still an increase. But I think what is most revealing is that the foreign direct investment rose by 48%. And I think this is very significant. The 48% increase by foreign direct investments shows that not just the foreign capital markets, but there is confidence in the new Malaysian government in terms of managing the economy, steering it forward to the 21st century and the digital economy, and most important of all, our commitment towards carrying out institutional reforms has outlined earlier by the Prime Minister. So I think there's a bit of a catch-up that we need to do, particularly our local investors. Now, we know there are certain issues that they're very concerned about, especially in terms of easier access to lending and also resolving the intake of foreign workers. Let me assure you that we are getting down to it to make sure that these issues can be overcome. And we hope that the investment amongst the local businessmen will pick up in line with the increased confidence amongst foreign investors. Mentioned earlier were concerns about relations with China. Now, our largest investor is China. Chinese investment rose by nearly 5 times, from around 4 billion to nearly 20 billion. And that's over a space of a year. So this shows that the Chinese investors are coming in, and also a reflection of good ties between both China and Japan. And we may have another bonus, Japan. In the past, when you look at Japanese investment, they always played a very prominent role. But over the last couple of years, especially last decade, Japanese investment declined. Now, when I went to Tokyo during the Chinese New Year to conduct a roadshow on the issuance of the samurai bond, I was told by many Japanese investors that they wanted to come to Malaysia, but they were worried about outstanding issues, especially related to the infamous 1MDB. And they were hesitant in coming. But after the new government took over and they see the change, the commitment towards complying with international norms, instituting institutional reforms to promote transparency and accountability, they said they want to come back. And we have seen an increase in Japanese investments. So if you look at the investment figures for this year, I am still quite encouraged by it, but we hope that the local investors would also follow suit. And here we want to ask the banks to be a bit more, flexible in terms of lending arrangements, because this is an issue that we get many complaints of banks being very conservative. After all, banks last year recorded huge profits. I think some of them the largest profits ever. Malaysia, we don't have windfall taxes for banks. So I think it is time for you to start lending, or unless you prefer windfall taxes. Well, as the Prime Minister said, we do not intend to impose new taxes on top of what we have announced under the previous budget, except for those that we have outlined our intentions. So I think there should be some positive news for the business community There's a lot of interest in taxes, and of course we are still fine-tuning the imposition of the SST. So I think I would just like to give a very brief rundown on Malaysia's economy, which is healthy, growing, and hopefully able to share the success with the people of Malaysia. Thank you very much.
With the absence of Petronas special dividend next year, what measures will be taken to address fiscal gap?
Well, the special dividend from Petronas is not to deal with our fiscal deficit. The special dividend from Petronas of 30 billion ringgit is to allow us to make the refunds of GST and income tax refunds. GST alone amount to 19.4 billion. And then there are companies. I mean, this is something that is genuine, even though certain quarters question. But 121,000 companies are owed 19.4 billion ringgit, including some of the top companies in the world. Petronas itself also is owed a substantial sum. So the 30 billion ringgit special one-off dividend is utilized to make the refunds, only for the refunds, not to deal with our fiscal deficit. So even this year, we are not relying on Petronas to reduce our deficit to 3.4% of GDP. I think the real challenge will be next year, to reduce from 3.4 to 3%. But I'm still confident that with the continued growth of the Malaysian economy and the fact that we are still gaining a lot of foreign investments, as well as the benefits from the institutional reforms that we carry out. You know, many of you ask, how confident are we that we will do better than the previous government? I tell them this, I'm 100% confident. The Prime Minister is 100% confident. Not only because we have a Prime Minister, Tun Dr. Mahathir, who is a well-respected statesman, who has tons of experience, who have good contacts with many countries throughout the world, including especially Japan, but because of this critical point. It has been proven in history that a clean government will always perform better than a corrupt government. And everybody knows that the previous government, as far as corruption is concerned, what was their status? This government is clean, and we intend to implement reforms that will ensure that future governments will also be clean. And a clean government will always outperform a corrupt government. That's why we're 100% confident that we will perform better than the previous government. It will take time, Dr. Kadir. It will take time, definitely. And we are projecting 3 years before we get fully back on track that we can become an Asian economic tiger again. After all, we got to take it into context. We lost 100 billion, nearly 100 billion from the 1MDB scandal. You cannot lose 100 billion and not feel some pain. But we are implementing measures to mitigate the pain. And has conditions improved over time in the course of these 3 years, we are optimistic that we can ensure that the people will be able to benefit from this economic improvement, so that when we talk about shared prosperity, it is really shared with the people of Malaysia. Thank you.